everybody, and welcome back to another speed build. So this particular build is actually for my current household. You can see them standing out the front there in their pajamas. Yeah, it must be like early morning or something. I don't know why they're in their pajamas, but they are. Yeah, so anyway, this particular house is current household, as I said. I'm doing a legacy challenge that myself and a group of redditors created on, basically we did it on Discord, but like we met at Reddit. So anyway, you should go check out that legacy challenge. It is for Sims 2, Sims 3, Sims 4, and even if you have base game, you can still do the challenge. So I'll link it down below if you want to check it out. It's a pretty cool challenge, so you should go and do that. And actually, I have one more thing to say about the build. It's a green themed build. I'm sure most of you have heard of Lil Simses. Is it Lil Simsy? Lil Simsy? Anyway, okay. Lil Simsies. Just say it really fast so she won't notice that we said it wrong. Her Not So Berry challenge. And I really like the color theme with that challenge. So I'm doing my own challenge, so I don't really want to like do another challenge because I have barely any time to play with my own current household. But I just thought that every house I move them into should have a colour theme similar to the Not So Berry challenge because that would be fun. Anyway, that's sort of all I had to say. Now, I do actually have a story for you guys though, because you may or may not know, but in a previous speed build that I did, I spoke about how I accidentally spilt my coffee on myself. So I had a cappuccino, which is like coffee and milk, and I spilt it on myself, and the milk kind of like went off while it was like on my dress, and it ended up smelling really bad. So that happened on a Thursday. Then, believe it or not, on Friday, the very next day, I forgot my egg for my egg on toast because I was doing the morning shift, and when we're on the morning shift, most of us just make our breakfast at work because it's, I don't know, like when you start work at 6 o'clock, some people start at 5, but when you start at 5 and 6 o'clock, the last thing you really want to do is like get up any earlier to eat breakfast. And quite honestly, when you wake up at that time, you don't feel like eating. Well, I don't anyway. So most of us eat our breakfast at work. So I forgot my egg on toast, and another colleague, her name is Vicky, she's like my work mum. She was going down to the cafe to get some, I don't know, her breakfast. And I was like, oh, while you're down there, do you think you could maybe ask them if I could possibly just have just an egg, like, so that I can make my own egg on toast? And she's like, yeah, I'll ask them for you. So she came back up with this lovely egg, and she'd wrapped it all up in paper towel and everything to keep it safe. So I went down to the kitchen and I made my egg, and I was walking back, and I don't even know how I did it, but I managed to drop the egg on myself. So I dropped the egg and it landed face down on my shirt, and then hit my shirt, and then I slid down and landed face down on the floor. And I was like, what? Who has this luck? Who one day drops a cappuccino on their self. Anyway. And then the next day drops a bloody fried egg. Sunny side up. Bam, on your shirt. I do. This happens to me. So I had to do like the walk of shame back to my desk, and I was like, I dropped my egg. And everyone was like, oh my god, Jess, are you serious? Like, what is wrong with you? How have you been so clumsy the last couple days? You're not usually this clumsy. And I was like, I don't know. And now I don't have any breakfast. So Vicky, work mum Vicky, I was like, Vicky, I was too embarrassed to like go back down to the cafe and be like, hey, can I just have one piece of toast with an egg, no butter, nothing? Because I'm trying to eat healthy as well. So I didn't want to like get something that was potentially, you know, full of oil or whatever. So work mum Vicky, you know, went back down to the cafe and she got it for me. And she said that she told them what had happened about this because they gave me the first egg, and apparently they found it so hilarious and they were like laughing their heads off. So I was the laughing stock of the office for the second day in a row. And the weird thing is, like, I'm not exceptionally clumsy. Like, I'm not, well, I don't think I am anyway. Like, these things don't often happen to me, but I guess, like, when they do happen, it's kind of like larger things sort of happen, if that makes sense. I don't know how to explain it, but like, things don't happen to me often, but when they do, they're usually like a little bit catastrophic, like spilling a coffee on myself and then smelling like soy sauce. So I do have a story. This happened like a while ago now, but I was playing softball and I was playing in Melbourne actually. So I don't live in Melbourne, but we were playing softball in Melbourne. It was like a rep team. And I remember that I forgot my drink, and I used to be really, really forgetful. So I was always forgetting stuff, and I was like, oh no, I forgot my drink. I have to go get a drink before I play the game. And it was like a really early morning game, and the coach was like, oh, Jess, you always forget stuff. If you're not back, if you don't go and get your drink and get back here by the time the game starts, you're sitting on the bench. And I was like, okay. And I didn't want to sit on the bench. So I remember sprinting as fast as I could up to get this bottle of water from the canteen or whatever, and then running back. And I had to like run down this like hill. I slipped over on the grass, and not only did I slip over, I landed in dog poo. And this happened to me years ago. Like, I was in year 9. I haven't been in school for 5 years, so let's just say it happened like 8 years ago. So anyway, I'm like running for my life, trying to like make it back to the softball game on time, slip over, slide through dog poo, and it stunk. It was fresh poop, and I had to once again do like the walk of shame, and I was like, I fell in dog poo. And the coach is like, yeah, maybe you don't play this game at all. And I was like, I don't want to play today. And oh, it was so bad. It stunk. So fortunately, I didn't end up playing that game, and my dad took me back to the hotel, and I had to like take all my softball clothes off, wash them, and then we didn't have time to like dry them by the time the next game started, so I had to play the rest of that day's games like in wet softball clothes. But at least I didn't smell like dog poo. That was a bad one. So that's what I mean, guys. Like, things like this happen to me, and they're not overly, like, they don't happen super duper often, but when they do, it's, you know, falling in dog poo. But someone who is really clumsy is my husband. He is like the clumsiest person ever. He's a mechanic, and he's always coming home with like some sort of injury or scratch or bump or bruise, or like, honestly, so many, like, he's such a worry. I'm like so worried one day that his boss is going to call and be like, yeah, Cameron cut his head off at work. Sorry. Like, he's that clumsy. So just a few things that he has done. He flicked a pair of pliers, pointy-ended pliers, into his eye, and very fortunately he closed his eye, because otherwise it would have been even worse than what it was. So he ended up like, sounds weird, he ended up like bruising his eye, and because it was like, it hit the eyelid, but it still caused like trauma to his eye. So he had like a bruised eye, and then he had like a black eye and a little cut like under his eye. So he really escaped that one. Like, he was very fortunate that like, you know, the pliers didn't actually get into his eye, but he had to go to hospital and everything. So that happened. He dropped a pair of pliers again on his tooth, and fortunately the pliers were like like rubber ended ones. Like, he dropped the handle on his tooth and they were like rubber ended. So once again, luckily he didn't like break his, like, chip his tooth or something. He slipped, his like hand slipped, and his like finger managed to like land on a piece of metal, and the piece of metal went like in between his fingernail. Oh, and his whole fingernail came off. It was so disgusting. Fingernail things just creep me out. So like, constantly he'll come home with like a lump on his head, and I'm like, what happened? He's like, oh, I just walked into something. Oh, I just hit my head on a car bonnet. And I'm like, oh, Cameron, the stupidest thing. Oh, what? Break-in recording then. My grandma decided to just come in. I heard like shuffling at the door, and I turned around, and she's like, no joke, standing there giggling, like actually silently giggling. And I'm like, what are you doing? You're embarrassing me. She's like, oh, I'm sorry, I won't do it again. And I'm like, you do this all the time. You stand at the door and you giggle at me because you know that I'm here talking to no one and you think it's hilarious. And she's like, oh, I'm going to bed now, bye. And then like scuttles off. So anyway, back to the story. Actually, just while this is happening, my grandma's going to do my voiceover when we reach 150 subscribers. So subscribe, because even though she likes to giggle at me while I do my voiceovers, she's a lovely lady and she should do our voiceover. So yeah, subscribe. Okay, I'm sorry, that was really annoying. Anyway, back to my story. Yeah, so the stupidest thing that my husband ever did at work was he came home this one day and he had like his face, I don't know how to explain it, like it was red as though it had been like irritated, like it had that kind of like irritated redness to it, and he had like a few little bits of like kind of in his hairline, like it was a little bit like there was like black speckly looking things, and I was like, what happened to your face? And he's like, oh, I got sprayed in the face with, I can't actually remember what it was, but he got sprayed in the face with something, and I was like, how did that happen? And he's like, oh, I had this spray bottle, and the spray bottle was apparently blocked. So he turned the spray bottle around with the nozzle facing his face to see why it was blocked. Who does that? Who does that? And I was like, are you serious? He's like, yes. And I was like, so Cameron, the hose out the back is clogged. Do you want to go and see why it's clogged? He's like, haha, I get the joke. And I was like, oh my God. So he does stuff like this. He is so clumsy. So yeah, I'm not clumsy like he is. I'm still kind of clumsy, but not often. He's terrible. Absolutely terrible. Yeah. So I actually had another story as well. Full stories today, guys. Full of stories. I was at the shops today and I was buying a fruit salad, and I don't know if you know or not, I'm 23 and I am married, so let's just keep that in mind. So I went and bought this fruit salad, and as I was paying for it, the lady looked at my hand, like where my wedding ring and everything is, and she's like, don't tell me you're married. And I'm like, yeah, I'm married. And she's like, how old are you? Like really concerned. And I was like, oh, I'm 23. And then she's like, 23? No, I thought that you were 15 or 16. I thought you were still in school. And I was like, nope, I'm at work, I'm 23. And she like nearly wouldn't believe me that I was 23. She was like adamant that I was 16. And she's like, what's your skincare routine? Your skin is so good. You look so young. Keep doing what you're doing. You look so youthful. And I was like, oh, thank you. Like I was taking it as a compliment, but I don't think I look 16. Like I think I look young for my age. Like I probably don't look 23. But I don't think I look 16. No way. And then like all day I was just like looking at myself and I'm like, do I look 16? And it's like, I was telling people at work and I was like, do I look 16? And they're like, no, you don't look 16. But everyone agreed that I probably do look, I mean, kind of, like I probably don't look 23, as I said. Like I think I look younger than what I am. I think I look maybe between 18 and 20. Like my sister is 18 and I probably look the same age as her, but there is no way I look 16. But I'm going to take it as a compliment because it means I've got such a youthful glow. I don't even know if I do or not, but whatever. Yeah. So, at that awkward point of the video where I'm kind of out of stories, so we'll talk about the build for a little bit because this little room here, I can actually talk about. So I used that black and blue Parenthood bed. I am doing this thing right now where I really like using particular beds, but then I have trouble like decorating the bedroom around the bed. So I'm really trying to like challenge myself. So I was like, okay, I really like that black and blue bed swatch. So my goal is to do a bedroom that's like black and blue without making it look like super, I don't know, I didn't want it to look like too dark and like drab, I guess. So I just made sure to use like heaps of blue in it as well. And I love the way that it turned out. Like it's something that I never would have done before. I never would have decorated a bedroom like this, but I think that it is like really good to decorate it like based on one piece of furniture and then like work around that piece of furniture. I think it's like a good way to like get out of your comfort zone, and that's exactly what I did here. So I was like, yep, I like that bed swatch, I'm gonna work around it. And there's another Parenthood bed that I really like, the other Parenthood bed, there's a swatch in there I really like. It's like a the white bed with like kind of purpley sheets. So I think that the next build I do, if I do a children's room, it's definitely going to be featuring that bedroom. That bedroom is going to be featuring that bed. And I'm like super inspired right now. I actually really am, but yeah. So actually something I did want to talk about is my current household. So as I said at the start of the video, I am doing a challenge that I made with a group of people from Reddit, and there's 10 generations in it, and every generation has like a certain goals in it and stuff, and it's kind of created so that it can kind of be like as hard or as easy as you make it, which I quite like challenges like that, because sometimes you just want to chill out, sometimes you want things to be a bit more difficult. So yeah, the challenge that what I'm doing at the moment is basically doing kind of like a family sort of inspired generation. So basically in this house I have Liam, who is the little boy, and then his mum and his mum's sister. So he basically lives in this house with his mum and his auntie. And the kind of storyline is that his mum was a teen mum, and they used to live in the city together, and now they have moved into this house, and they're like really working on getting their life kind of started and everything. She's an adult now, so she's got a job in the business career, and she's like really family orientated and is really going to be focusing on like raising Liam to be, I don't know, like a very successful young lad. And she also has a little romantic thing going on with Alexander Goth. So she has been friends with Alexander forever. Like Alexander Goth is like her childhood friend, and he's had a crush on her forever, and now like he is going to tell her, he's going to tell her soon that he's like in love with her, and then they're going to get together and it's going to be really adorable. And I'm planning on having them have twin girls. I'm just gonna like cheat it, because I like cheating in my game a little bit. I like cheating. I don't really like cheating money so much, but I really like cheating like the gender of the children, or sometimes I like to cheat like how many kids I have. So I have this like story in mind. They're gonna have twin girls, and I already built the house that they're gonna live in after this house. So I've got like this whole generation like sorted out. Yeah, so that's kind of all I have to say about that. So I'm probably just going to leave it here, guys, because there's no point, yammering on for no reason. So I'm going to put some music on. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be great. Don't forget to watch until the end of the video, because I think that, I don't know why. Just watch it to the end of the video, because why wouldn't ya? Hey? Yeah, right? Okay. Anyway, you've made it this far. You're in the home stretch. Just keep watching. Keep watching. Keep watching. And, yeah. Also, actually, I have started uploading on VidMe as well. If that's your thing, go check it out. Jess Plays. Alright guys, I'm done. I'm out. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you all enjoyed.